All right, good morning, Ward Wrestling Live, Wrestling Nation. Hey, we're here again with a amazing member of our wrestling community, especially down here in Florida. He is a wrestler's dad, which is amazing. That's how he got into sports, similar to me. Uh, and he's turned out to where now he's the assistant coach at Pasco High School. They call him the Pasco Pirates. And he's kind of become the wrestling family there. He and his wife, they have their son, Travis, I believe, right?
Yes, correct.
Travis, who is a young little wrestler there that's doing good things. And we'll see what happens through the summer. Well, Coach, man, I appreciate you coming on. I know you're there at your glass company. So if anybody needs glass, please feel free to hit him up. He'll help you out with that. What's this off season look like so far for you and your son, sir?
It's been strange. We were certainly hoping to get a lot of wrestling in. Travis is committed to go to Life University with Omi, and so we were hoping to get a full off season of wrestling, get Disney in, maybe get to some camps, certainly get prepared for the season, and really haven't been able to do that as much. But the good thing is we've got a mat at the house, and we've had some kids over, and he's been able to get in a little bit of side work.
Oh man, good for him, and congratulations to you and your family for getting him through high school, and now he's going off to an amazing program at Life. And we all know who Omi is, and we know he does big things, and most of all, uh, he really cares about the kids coming through his program and really wants to see them be successful in life. So, congratulations to you and your wife and to him. That's awesome, man.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah, we're very happy.
yeah, good for you, and not a bad place to go visit either.
Right.
Hey, so tell me, when did your family get involved in wrestling?
We were late to the game. I really wish we would have gotten into it a little sooner, but Coach DiAgostino, who you've interviewed already, he approached Travis when he was in eighth grade. It was the end of the eighth grade season at a track meet, and just kind of put the bug in his ear about coming out and trying wrestling. And I didn't know anything about it at that point. I'd never wrestled in high school. I barely knew it was a sport probably at that time. I don't know why. I wish I would have known maybe more about it. But so he decided sometime in September of his freshman year, he was going to go out and go to a couple practices. And, of course, my wife and I were like, what the heck are you doing? But he went there a couple times, seemed like he liked it. He had decided he was going to play soccer that season. And so he was going to both practices. He would go to wrestling practice for 35 or 45 minutes, maybe an hour, and then he'd go off and go to his soccer practice. And so he kind of just did, was about part-time into the wrestling his freshman year. He ended up breaking his ankle his freshman year near the end of the soccer season. So he missed probably 2 months or so of that first year. So it was kind of a choppy season between barely practicing and then the breaking of the ankle. So I wasn't much involved in the program that year. I didn't get involved until his sophomore year when he decided to not do wrestling or not do soccer and decided to commit to doing the wrestling.
That's awesome, man. And that kind of leads into, and you spoke about it a little bit, what my next question is, but what made your son finally say, you know what, I'm choosing wrestling. That's going to be my sport. And as parents, what was your reaction? Because I hear different things like, why do you want to do that sport? Oh my God, you're going to get hurt. You're going to break your neck. You're going to blah, 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 which couldn't be furthest from the truth. But what was your reaction when he finally said, hey, soccer's not for me, Dad, anymore. I want to go wrestling?
Well, we're pretty happy. The camaraderie of the team, it was like nothing we'd really ever seen. You have a kid that might be 106 pounds, best friends with a kid that's 285 pounds. And they just, you have a lot of time in between matches, and the kids really tend to hang out with each other, really get along. It's really a great sport from that perspective. It's a weird sport, normally, if you're on a football team, all the big guys are the good guys, or basketball, it's going to be most of the guys that are really tall are good. But in wrestling, any shape, size, it doesn't matter. And you'll see guys rooting out. Like we struggle to find some of the lighter weight kids, and we're constantly walking around talking to kids that weigh 100 pounds and say, "We need you," and they're like, "Look at me, I weigh 100 pounds," and we're like, "Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking at." And so it's a very unique sport that it can be any shape, any size, and you could be successful.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad to hear another parent out there just like me that got into the sport through their children and just became so passionate about it. Um, so moving on now, I mean, now you're entrenched, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what? I'm a coach. So what finally brought that on? And not only that, but what steps did you have to take to prepare yourself to be able to actually coach a sport that you never played?
Yeah, it was more of a need for the school that got me involved in that. After Travis's freshman year, Coach DiAgostino had moved on, and they brought in another coach for one season, as it turns out, for one season, and there wasn't a lot of parents that were involved, unfortunately, and I'm sure you've run into that as well. That there's not as much involvement because a lot of people don't know the sport. It's not like some of these parents have grown up in it. So, next thing you know, I'm on the sideline, I'm keeping score, I'm doing video work. Then I became a little bit more involved in the planning or the preparation of these kids. My wife and I are very active. And so, we were the ones that would bring waters, bring food, bring snacks, raise funds, do a little bit of everything for that. And then after Travis's sophomore year, that coach had stepped down, and Tim Maple had been a part of the program forever and was the assistant coach of that sophomore year. He got promoted to the head coach, and there wasn't anybody, really there for the assistant coach. We had kind of looked around a little bit, and nobody was there. I knew I was going to be a part of it. Anyway, I was going to be there at every match, almost every practice. So it just made sense for me to kind of volunteer or put my name in the hat for the assistant spot. And lo and behold, I got it. And at that point, I had already started researching it. I like to do my research and try to figure out the sport, and bought videos, watch videos. I'm just a sponge. I wanted to see as much as I could, and I'm still doing that. Still trying to figure out this sport. I've been involved in it now 3.5 years, and I feel like I'm just scratching the surface on it.
Good for you, man. Now, was there any sort of did you have to go off and get like USA certified and FHS certified, anything certified, or you just you were there and you were the body and you filled it, and now you've become a sponge and you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah, there was no certifications. We had to do background checks to be a school employee, but that was really the extent of that.
Nice. Well, good for you, and I'm sure they're really happy to have you. And what is it like now? Not just being the dad in the stands, now being the dad in the corner.
It's exciting. There's no better spot to be than up close, watching it, being involved, having a say in the matches. It's a tough thing when it's your kid a lot of times, because you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing, but you're not kind of overstepping. You don't want to play favoritism, as a coach. But the good thing about this sport is, it's kind of settled on the mat. It's not my kid's better than your kid. It's they determine that. It's if my kid beats the other kid, then he's the starter. If he doesn't beat the other kid, he's not the starter. So all of that stuff. We allow that to be settled on the mat.
That's awesome. Chase Ayers just said, "Damn the man."
Oh yeah. Yeah, Chicken, he's a good friend of Travis's, and he's kind of my adopted son. He's at the house quite a bit, and has certainly helped out a lot.
And they're going to be friends again in college.
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, they're both at Life, as well as Tim Johnson, who wrestled with Pasco 2 seasons ago.
That's awesome. Now correct me if I'm wrong. I was trying to read stuff about you on Google and things like that, doing my research. You guys are part of the Tampa Bay Brawlers as well?
No, we're not. We have the Pasco. We were the Pasco Predators for a little while. That's what we went as to Disney. But this last year we went as Funky Monkey. It was a pretty cool little design, cool outfit. It was pretty neat. So we were hoping to go again as Funky Monkey.
Okay, I was reading articles and you guys were just involved in things that involved them, and maybe that's why the name
Probably.
kept coming up.
Yep.
So you do have a club there in Pasco that kids are welcome to come and be a part of. How can
Yes.
people find your club? How can they get involved in your club? And tell us a little bit about it.
It's Pasco Wrestling Club. You can find it on Facebook. Just request an invite in there. We've struggled to find a facility to be able to bring in the younger kids. So we've kind of used Coach DiAgostino's kids club to kind of help with that for some of the younger folks. We're hoping to get a mat from the school. We're trying to buy a mat from the school right now, and I've got a spot in one of my Dade City offices, and we're going to have it's not going to be a big space, but we're going to have a little space there that we'll be able to bring in some of the younger kids. We're not allowed to have anybody not in high school at the high school, and that's where we practice. But we're going to be able to, hopefully in the next week or two, be able to get that going again in the summertime and bring in some of the younger kids. Tim Maple's son, Talon, is wrestling for Zephyr Christian. He's been wrestling since 6th grade there. He'll be in 8th grade. So he's got a couple of buddies that wrestled with him, and so the Pasco program should be strong once those guys get to 9th grade.
Man, very good. So what has wrestling meant for your son?
It's been just about everything. He's eat, breathe, sleep wrestling since the junior year. He did go in between his sophomore and junior year. He went to J-Rod, went to the 28-day intensive camp, and that really helped him a lot. He's obviously starting very late. We lost a lot of the technique, and that wasn't really where he was going to catch up in the technique, but it certainly got him prepared for the season, got him prepared for the grind. And after he came back from that, it's really just been full steam ahead. And he did play football for a couple of years, but he decided to skip that his senior year so he could just concentrate on wrestling. So really since his junior year, it's been primarily wrestling.
Nice, good for him. So he's going into his senior year, or he's officially graduated?
He's officially graduated. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to be rooting for him at Life next year.
That's correct.
Excellent. Well, good. Well, he's got another fan now.
All right.
That'd be awesome. Hey, so before we get into 10 questions, I know that you have a glass company local in Central Florida there. Tell us about it. Tell us what you do, and how can people get in touch with you?
Well, we service almost the entire state of Florida. We're the 9th largest in the country. We have we cover 55 plus counties or so. So you can find us on the web, find us on Facebook, Twitter. We're on all the social media sites. But we've got a calibration company that most people don't really think about, the cameras in the cars that help drive, but those have to be calibrated after installation, and so we have a company that does that. And so we're a full service company. We 170 employees strong, so that it's grown to be a pretty big company over the last 5-6 years. We've really grown. We're going into our 26th year of business. Good.
Well, congratulations. Good for you. And I'd imagine auto glass, home glass, any glass, right?
We do mostly auto glass in all of those counties. We have a few counties in the central part of the state that we do everything commercial, residential, showers, mirrors, things like that.
Awesome. Well, there you go. You need glass? Hit up Mr. Knowlton.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, buddy. Black Eyed Pea or Country Kitchen?
I have never been to Black Eyed Peas, so I'd have to say Country Kitchen.
Francesco's or American Pizza?
American Pizza.
It did look really good. Palm Harbor or Pine Island?
Pine Island.
All right. Boyette's Grove or the Tampa Zoo?
I've never been to either.
Okay. Well, forget that question then. The Citrus Tower or Little Everglades?
Citrus Tower.
Do you prefer a fishing pier or a fishing boat?
Fishing boat.
I get seasick, so I prefer a fishing pier.
Okay.
Busch Gardens or Universal Studios?
Universal.
Tampa Bay or St. Pete?
Tampa Bay.
Grouper or Mahi?
Grouper.
I like grouper.
Yeah.
Stone crabs or king crabs?
King.
Nice. Now you like the butter or the spicy mustard?
Butter for sure.
I love it, man. Hey, it's really cool to see that there is somebody out there like me that fell in love with a sport without it being their sport and got into a position you are where now you're actually in the corner helping. Do you think that you will stay on coaching and continue to help grow the program when now that your son is moving on?
I do. I plan to stick around. I'm really thankful for what Tim has done for Travis, and even though Travis is going to be moving on and I won't have a kid there anymore, I'm going to stick around and do it as long as I can and help out. Of course, I'm going to want to travel around and see Travis wrestle if he's wrestling. But I'm going to do everything I can do to make Pasco Wrestling successful.
Awesome. Well, hey, Coach Knowlton, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. Please share the new group with 10 of your friends and ask them to share it with 10 of their friends. And please enjoy the live shows and the interviews. And if when your son gets up to life, tell him I'd love to have him jump on when he's up there in the gym with Omi and the funky chicken or whatever they call him. It would be fun to see him in the, as Omi says, the best colors in college wrestling.
That's right. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. You have a great day.
All right. You too.